Did you know that nearly half of America is practically empty? While some states are booming, others feel like ghost towns with vast lands and barely anyone around. But why? Today we're diving into 5 states where almost nobody lives. Stick around to find out why these places are so deserted. And don't forget to subscribe to Decider for more eye-opening videos like this. 1. Maine. Maine is so far north. People there are practically Canadian, eh? You're surrounded by pine forests, glacial lakes, and moose. Sounds beautiful, right? I mean, picture yourself waking up to that view every morning. It's like stepping into a postcard. But there's a reason only 1.385 million people live here. It's called winter. Imagine a season that lasts so long and gets so cold. You start wondering if the Night King is coming. I'm talking brutal. We're talking negative temperatures, blizzards that could bury a house, and enough ice to make Elsa jealous. And unless you love snowmobiles, frozen lakes, and hearing your nose hairs freeze in real time, you'll probably pass. Don't get me wrong, there are some die-hard Mainers who love the snow. But for the rest of us, it's a bit intense. Fun fact, Maine is 89% forest. Yeah, 89%. That's more trees than people, folks. So, if you're looking for a bustling metropolis, keep on driving. But if you're into hiking, fishing, and maybe spotting a moose or two, Maine might be your jam. Just make sure you pack a really, really warm coat. 2. Montana. A state that looks like it was ripped straight out of a Wild West movie. Cowboy hats, horses, and scenery that'll make your jaw drop. We're talking mountains that pierce the sky, rivers that wind through valleys, and sunsets so stunning. You'll question if you're dreaming. It's the kind of place that makes you want to buy a cowboy hat and learn to ride a horse. And it's huge. I mean, seriously huge. It's bigger than Japan. But guess what? Only 1.12 million people live here. That's like one person for every 10 square miles. You'd think people would be rushing in, right? Wrong. The weather is a killer, literally. We're talking scorching hot summers that'll melt your ice cream before you can even blink. And winters so cold, they'll freeze your tears before they even roll down your face. Billings, the biggest city, barely has 100,000 people. In some towns, they're so remote. Getting to a Walmart feels like planning a road trip. Seriously. You could drive for hours without seeing another living soul. It's both beautiful and a little bit eerie. But hey, if you're into that rugged cowboy life, Montana's all yours. Just be prepared to embrace the solitude, the extreme weather, and the occasional tumbleweed blowing down the road. 3. Rhode Island. Let's zoom down to Rhode Island, the smallest state in the US. It's basically a speck on the map, but what it lacks in size, it makes up for in people. Over 1 million people, squeezed into just 1,034 square miles. It's like one big town where everyone knows your name, whether you like it or not. Here's the thing though, Rhode Island has all the charm of New England, but none of the perks anymore. The cost of living, creeping up faster than a vine on a trellis, and if you squint, it's starting to look a lot like New York, minus the skyline. Don't get me wrong, Rhode Island has its perks. The beaches, beautiful. The seafood, incredible. And the history, richer than a millionaire's vault. But if you're looking for peace, quiet, and affordable housing, you might want to keep looking. But hey, if you love a place where everything is within walking distance, this is your spot. You can walk to the beach, walk to the park, walk to the grocery store. You get the idea. Just be prepared to fight for a parking spot. 4. South Dakota. South Dakota, home to Mount Rushmore and Wall Drug. Yep, after you pass about 200 billboards, you'll realize the most famous thing here is a drugstore. And honestly, that says a lot about South Dakota. It's vast, it's cold, and it's really far from everything. We're talking wide open spaces that stretch as far as the eye can see. Winters that'll make you want to hibernate until spring, and a sense of isolation that can be both exhilarating and terrifying. Population? Less than 1 million. And despite all that land, there's almost nothing there. Farms? Yep. Truck stops? Barely. But you know what it does have? Fields that make you wonder if you're the last human left on Earth. Oh, and in case you were curious, South Dakota is 177% bigger than Florida, but has fewer residents than Jacksonville. Yeah, it's empty. But hey, if you're looking for a place where you can escape the crowds, breathe in the fresh air, and maybe even see a tumbleweed or two, South Dakota might be the place for you. Just don't forget to pack a warm coat and a good sense of adventure. At 5, North Dakota. South Dakota feels empty? Wait till you meet North Dakota. Imagine everything I just said, but worse. Colder winters, hotter summers, flash floods that could sweep your house away, and oil. Not exactly a tourist brochure, huh? With fewer than 800,000 residents, North Dakota's population is smaller than some neighborhoods in major U.S. cities. That's right, you could fit the entire population of North Dakota in a few city blocks. So, why is North Dakota so empty? Well, for starters, it's isolated. You're far from any big urban centers. And the weather? Let's just say, you better love extremes. We're talking winters so cold, they'll make your teeth chatter. Summers so hot, you'll sweat through your clothes. And wind that'll blow you off your feet. Most people didn't stop here on their way west. And it shows. But hey, if you're looking for a place where you can truly get away from it all, North Dakota might be the place for you. Just be prepared for the isolation, the weather,